Hello, families. This is Miss Ryan, and today I want to help you all with the math and the reading for week 2 in your home learning packets. If you haven't received your packet, please let me know. Send me a message on Dojo, text me, or email me as soon as you can so that I can try to get those packets out to your child. As far as week 1 is concerned, if you would like to do it for extra practice, that's great, but I'm not going to do a tutorial video for week 1, nor am I going to require that it be done. We're just going to start fresh with week 2. So let's go ahead and get started with the math. As you can see, it looks pretty differently than the math we've been doing in the home learning packets. But we're going to go ahead and just navigate it through the best way we can. So I want you all to understand that during the next 3 weeks with these packets, it is very heavily focused on talking about math and thinking about math and just working through some of those simple processes that we see in second grade. So there are a lot of different skills for each day. But I'm just going to go through them the best I can to help you all be successful. So, on day 1, it starts with an activity called Battling Bugs, and it's basically just asking the difference between two numbers. They use these base 10 blocks or 10 frames to kind of help you out. And so, if you look at the example, it says the difference between 6 and 3 is 3. So that means 6 minus 3 equals 3. And if you look over here, this first bug has 6 boxes filled. And then the second bug only has 3. And so the difference lies within those boxes that don't have a partner with the box above. We see that this box is partnered with this box is partnered with this one with this one, and so forth. Okay? So go ahead and do A, B, C, and D, looking at the 10 frames to help you, writing the two numbers that belong here on the line, how many boxes are filled here, and then how many boxes are filled here, and then make sure you write that equation on the line. At the bottom, they're just asking you to add up each bug's points to find out who won the game. Okay, so make sure you use some strategy that we've learned in class to add 5 digits together. Put your answer in the box and then make sure you answer the questions at the bottom, which bug won, right? So I'll say this one is a spider, this one is a fly. By how many points? So when you're figuring out how many points, you're going to subtract your two totals. This is asking you the difference between your two totals. And then they ask you to show your work, so make sure you show us what strategy you used to get the answer. The next activity is called Time Twister. And so they're asking you to use the digits 0 through 9 just one time each, and to create different times, draw hour and minute hands on the clock so that you can represent in each clock a time span between 12 and 7. So you have a lot of freedom as to what time you can write down. You just need to make sure that the time is between 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Then they go on to ask, how can you make the difference between the times greater or the greatest? So you want to think about what time would it have to be on this clock to make it the farthest time away from this clock, still staying within 12 noon and 7 p.m. And then they ask also, how can you make the difference, or how can you make the closest times together? So just thinking about any two times that you can put close together that still are between noon and 7 o'clock. So have a little fun with that. The next activity is a mobile activity that asks you what is the value of the trapezoid. So you need to look at the mobile and the key, or the value of the heart, to understand what the value of the trapezoid is. So if you have 3 hearts that have a value of 2, So if I know the value of each heart, I can add these numbers together to figure out the value of this side of the mobile. So if this heart is 2, this one is 2, and this one is 2, we're going to add those together, and this side of the mobile equals 6. Now we see that both sides of the mobile are equal, so we need to figure out what the trapezoid's value is that would help equal 6 on this side. So if I have that this heart equals 2, then I can subtract 6 minus 2 to get the value of the trapezoid. 6 minus 2 is 4, and so the value of the trapezoid is 4. That was a freebie for you all. The first activity in day 2 is a counting activity. So the question asks, how many eggs do you see? How many are missing? And how did you count them? And so this is one of those questions I was talking to you all about in the beginning that just force you to think about math or use math in your reasoning. So there's no wrong way to count the eggs. But how are you going to count them? Are you going to group the eggs? Are you going to skip count to group them? Are you going to count the blank spaces in order to figure out how many eggs are actually in spaces? So go ahead and try that one. The next activity for day 2 is a 2-digit addition adding activity. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but these problems basically ask you to add the ones together and get a number. Add the tens together, understanding that this 3 in the tens place is actually a 30, and the 2 in the tens place is actually a 20. And then adding the sum of those two numbers together, okay, to get our total. The next activity is a stacking up activity. So it says arrange these number blocks into 3 equal stacks so that the sum of the numbers displayed in each stack must equal to any other stack. So what I would recommend doing is cutting up pieces of paper with the numbers 1 through 9 on them and kind of playing around with them a little bit until you have 3 equal stacks. So you have to have 3 blocks in each stack that equal the amount of the other 2 stacks. Day 3 begins with a story problem about second grade favorite pets. So make sure you read the question thoroughly. You all may use the cubes strategy to solve this problem. Make sure you're answering questions A and B. The next activity is a subtraction with regrouping activity. They want you to use the numbers 1 through 9 one time each to fill in the boxes to make the difference equal to 39. They also encourage you to use base 10 drawings to help. So your goal for this activity is to pick any number 1 through 9. You can only use it one time. And you need to make a subtraction equation that would have 39 as an answer. So again, I would suggest taking those same cut up pieces of paper with numbers on it from the previous activity and playing around with them until you can come up with an equation that has 39 as the answer. The next one, which one doesn't belong, is a cool game that you can play with family and friends. You all have to choose an object in the picture that doesn't belong with the rest. I like this activity because there's no wrong answer. As long as you can justify your reasoning, you're pretty much correct. So let's say I wanted to choose the octagon and say the octagon is the shape that doesn't belong because it's not colored. It's white. These are yellow, pink, and green, right? So you can also come up with different reasons as to why another picture doesn't belong. So go ahead and have fun with that one. Day 4's lesson starts with a story problem. So I want you all to use cubes to solve the word problem. We'll move on to the next activity, which is a visual pattern. So it says below is a pattern of squares in stages 1 through 3. Draw what you think stage 4 might look like. Label how many squares are in each stage. So as we look at this pattern, we can see that this pattern is growing, but we need to decide how the pattern is growing and changing and what stage 4 may look like. And so I'll just give you all a quick hint that you need to think about the center squares and how they are being increased. For the next activity, you are going to get a piece of paper, make 2 columns. On the left side, you're going to write things that are the same about these 2 pictures. And on the right, you're going to write things that are different about these 2 pictures. So this is another activity that you can do with a friend or a family member, and see how many similarities and differences you can come up with for the 2 pictures. One similarity is they're both Rick and Rex, right? One difference is I have more reds to the left side of my Rick and Rack on this one than this one. So go ahead and see how many more differences and similarities you can come up with. Day 5 also starts with the word problem. So again, I'm encouraging you all to use the cubes strategy to solve that. And for the parents, if you're unfamiliar with cubes or the students don't remember what the strategy is, I'll go ahead and link an anchor chart after this video just to help you all with that strategy for word problems. The next activity is a sorting numbers activity. So you're simply looking at the numbers in the box and ordering them from least to greatest. Kiddos, make sure you're thinking about place value, how many digits are in the number, and thinking about how we know a number is smaller than the next number. And your last activity in week 5 is the add, subtract, and compare box. So you have to fill in the missing numbers on the addition table, and some have already been filled for you. And so I want to help you all read this really quickly. So I have my plus sign up here in the corner. So I'm looking at my numbers in my column and my row, and that box where they meet, I'm going to put the answers. So here, 3 plus 3 equals 6. This box is in the 3 row and the 4 column. So we're adding 3 plus 4, which equals 7. I'm going to come down some. So let's go down to the 8. I'm in the 8 row, the 3 column. So I'm adding 8 plus 3, which is also 11. Got it? Happy learning, guys.